Hey, welcome back to Scorpion Insights. I'm Jamie Adams. Today, I've got 23-year Scorpion veteran Brian Blades back with me. Brian, as you may or may not know, Brian has been spending the last 23-ish years working with attorneys, primarily criminal defense attorneys, advising them on marketing strategies. We're going to talk about some specific types of attorneys today in the criminal defense market, and those are larger firms. Right. So we did a previous Scorpion Insights segment where we talked about advising the smaller solo, maybe 2-attorney practice on marketing strategies. But let's talk about the bigger firm, right, that may have 5, 6, 8, 10 attorneys, right? They've got an established presence in their market. They've clearly got some marketing down because they probably wouldn't be able to grow to that size without having done it. But we bring on a lot of those types of firms as customers. So when you're having a conversation with them, what are some of the challenges that they're looking to solve when they come to a company like us? And what types of advice do you typically give them around marketing?
Yeah, for those firms, it's very unique challenges for them because they're not just looking to continue to grow, but they're looking to grow in very specific ways. So I think the challenge for them most of the time is centered around market capture. So whether it's total addressable market, which is to say they're reaching as many of their potential clients as possible, or they're trying to reach more of their clients throughout their entire buyer's journey. For example, a small firm is almost always looking at the bottom of the buying funnel. They're trying to capture people at the point of making a decision.
So like people going to Google and saying, I need a DUI attorney right now, or I need a DUI attorney near me, or I have a criminal defense attorney near me. Like they're like, give me somebody to call right now.
That's right, exactly.
And that's because the smaller firms are probably more budget strapped. They can't invest further up the funnel as much.
That's exactly right.
Okay, got it.
Whereas a lot of times the missed opportunities for larger firms, especially when you've got a sort of a capped market, there's a point where you're reaching people, you're 90+% of ad share, for example. Your advertising is reaching pretty much anybody that you could potentially be having at the bottom of that buying funnel. So now you're saying to yourself, well, where else are they searching? What other channels are they spending time on? And where else can we be spending time and being in front of them? And so those are the different types of challenges.
Like catching them further, maybe in like the research phase where they're not quite at the point of, I got to call somebody today. Yeah, got it.
I say all the time, like you've got, generally speaking, from the point of arrest all the way down to a point of making decisions to say, I need to call and hire somebody. On average, time spent online is around 4 hours.
Okay.
It's relatively quick. And obviously intake is going to be something that you need to have buttoned down. But most firms typically will have that at least somewhat.
At that size,
they'll have that pretty well figured. So anywhere between all that, you're trying to really make sure you're capturing them throughout the entire buyer's journey.
We talk a lot about, obviously, our primary job when we're working with firms like this is to help drive demand into their practice, right? Like, again, get the phone to ring, get someone to text them, to schedule a consultation on their website. That's our typical role in that. But I think like one of the things that I feel like is kind of is very adjacent to what we do is that intake process, right? Because a company like us can actually help make the phone ring all day long, but if they don't have that intake process buttoned up, right, then they're just spending a bunch of money and they're not going to see kind of that turn into caseload increase, revenue, et cetera. Is that a key kind of component that you see between the smaller firms and the larger firms as they've really buttoned up their intake process?
Yeah, they certainly got it. They've clearly understood the time it's going to take to be able to get somebody from that initial call to the firm to speaking with an attorney.
Okay.
So if you're a small attorney, for example, you're a solo practitioner, which a majority of criminal defense firms are, chances are you're in court, you're wearing 10 different hats. It's very difficult for you to always be available for that somebody who's going to be calling your office. Whereas a larger firm almost always going to have some ability to be able to get you to speaking with an attorney. So they've got essentially a sales staff, a sales attorney, be able to take that call.
Got it.
And so it's a little bit different than that.
Interesting. So they would have kind of a dedicated person whose expertise is just that intake process.
That's right, exactly.
So do they ever outsource that, or is it better like, hey, this is part of our brand, like we really need to own this process? Like what do you see the most successful criminal defense firms of that size doing from an intake perspective?
I've from time to time I'll see it outsourced, but I tend not to, just because they really do want to kind of have a very cohesive brand identity, and they want to make sure the experience that individual is going to have working with their firm is going to be completely handled in-house. So I tend to see that a little more entirely managed by the firm itself.
Okay.
With the exception of an after-hour service.
Yeah.
That might be the exception.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So another question I've got, the larger firms, are they typically in the criminal defense world, are they typically niching down into specific kind of micro practice areas? Or are they, hey, like we want to specialize and we've got attorneys that can kind of cover the spectrum in criminal defense cases? What's that like typically?
Yeah, it's really the latter. And for firms who are truly looking for huge revenue growth, they're looking to monetize everything. They're
Yeah.
trying, and they're looking at every step of not just the case itself, but the actual criminal process from obviously the point of the initial case in a trial, but also post-conviction issues too. So there's a sort of beginning end to every case, and that ends even after the case is tried or settled. So, for example, if you've got a firm who says we want to continue to grow, it's going to happen even after the client's case is ended. So that might be an expungement, could be an appeal, that could be recidivism. So that could be somebody who's going to come back to you for a second DUI, for example, a third DUI. A lot of those future clients. So you show them a positive experience now, you're going to have them in the future. And statistically speaking, it happens.
Yeah, that's crazy. So if you had to give like one piece of rock solid advice, and I know every single scenario is different, but you've got a larger firm and they've kind of hit a plateau from a marketing perspective. If there's like kind of one piece of universal advice that you would give them, at least to kind of think about or explore, what would that be?
The best advice that I give, and I harp on it maybe too much, but is brand. You know, get your brand right. I can't say it enough, but there's so much noise in the marketplace. There are so many options for consumers to turn to, and their decision to click away from you or just to move their eyeball somewhere else is within fractions of a second. Yeah. And you've really got to be able to capture them and create a proposition that's going to make you unique in the space. And spending time, I don't care how big and small you are, you've really got to spend some time telling people your story and telling people what makes you unique and why they should be devoting their potential, their life, and their livelihood in terms of
it's a big decision.
Big decision. Yeah, this is not an estate planning matter, for example. Yeah, there's a lot on the line here. So and you got to put yourself in their shoes. Yeah, and maybe just ensure that if you were going to be in their position, what kind of story would you want to be told? To help them make a better decision. Yeah,
makes sense. Man, some great insights. So a couple things just to recap. Number one, the larger firms are typically trying to explore kind of more the full funnel from a marketing and advertising perspective, not just relying on the person searching and looking, I need an attorney now, but trying to reach them as they're in that research phase. I actually did not know, I'd never heard the stat of that kind of research phase for this particular type of consumer is like 4 hours. Yeah. So still not a lot of time. But they're trying to meet those people that are probably investing in social advertising, maybe doing some retargeting or some video ads, maybe even doing some like specific direct mail pieces like through, jailers and things of that nature. So that's kind of one area. They're full funnel. Number two, they got their intake process buttoned up. I know that's not typically a marketing problem, but I mean, again, like, it seems like it's really, really critical for firms that really want to grow.
Sure is.
Having a dedicated person. And then, of course, you talked about this on the other segment with the smaller firms, but just the importance of brand, specifically in criminal.
Yes.
And you're right. And these are big decisions. Like this is the difference in maybe going to jail or not going to jail.
Big time.
So really, really great stuff. Thanks, Brian, for the time. Thanks again for joining this Scorpion Insight. We'll be back with more insights soon. And until then, have a great day.